Hey guys, it's Mike. Welcome back to another quick walkthrough unboxing video. This time it's of a Rolex watch that I've owned for just a little bit over a year now. This is the Rolex Day-Date, also known as the President or the Presidential. This is the original 36 millimeter version, not the newer 40 millimeter version in yellow gold. So I bought this watch just over a year ago. I bought it secondhand, so there's a few scuffs on the box that you can probably see, but not a big deal. It also doesn't have an authenticity card, but I did buy it from a reputable third-party retailer. So your standard Rolex box you can see here. Obviously a little bit different than what you might get now. This is a few years old, but what you would get with a new piece would be very similar. So it'll sit in your typical Rolex box like this. I've got a couple of extra links in there, and so you can see it comes on a little holder like that, and if you were to buy it new, you'd have some plastic and you'd have a hang tag and things like that. So to talk a little bit about this watch, it was debuted some point in the 1950s. It was originally available in yellow gold and then I think a platinum as well. It still is only available in precious metals. There are not many Rolex models. In fact, there may be no other Rolex models that are exclusively offered in precious metals anymore. The Sky Dweller was one, and about a year ago that was debuted in a stainless steel version. So this arguably, although I'm not sure that it's the most expensive Rolex you can buy, it's arguably the flagship model that Rolex produces. So you can see, and I'm just trying to show you up close, this is the white dial version. And you can see it's a pretty matte white dial. Then it has solid gold Roman numerals. Of course, there are a number of different dial configurations you can get. And then you can see at the top here, you've got the full text of the day of the week, and then you've got a magnified date window as well. Going around the watch here, you can see you have solid gold links and links as well now. So it sits very secure. There's very little play in these end links, if any at all, which is very nice. Feels very solid. These are all solid gold links as well. They're filled links. And then you have, over the last couple of years, or a number of years ago, they went to a hidden clasp mechanism, which you can see as you wear that on your wrist. You actually don't see any clasp. That is a relatively new addition by Rolex. And going around here, you can see that. And then, of course, you've got the gold fluted bezel as well, which, as you can see, I mean, this is just kind of typical lighting in my house. You know, really does offer some pretty spectacular reflectivity at certain angles, and that's why I think many would consider this to be somewhat of a flashier piece as well. Turning the watch around, you can see typical of Rolex, nothing fancy on the back. That's a nice closed case back there. Some markings, and then some markings, engravings in fact, on the clasp. I could use a bit of a polish, but you can see what that looks like. Your typical Rolex engravings and markings. I'll show you a close-up of the dial here if I can get a good focus on it. So you can see Rolex Oyster Perpetual Day-Date printed on the dial, superlative chronometer, officially certified, and then Swiss made at the bottom. You can see the second-hand sweeping there as well. On the crown, you have the embossed Rolex logo. You can see the two dots beneath it. I think that's important to note that makes reference to the waterproofing mechanism of the crown. 3 dots would be the trip lock crown, which you see on some of Rolex's dive watches. This still has a double lock crown, which provides a very good degree of water resistance as well. I think this is down to 100 meters. I think, practically speaking, people who are wearing this watch aren't going to be going anywhere near that deep, but I think it does mean you can take it into the shower, as I have a number of times, and you're not going to have to worry about any water seeping in through the crown or the case back or anywhere else for that matter. So I thought I'd just put this on my wrist and show you what it looks like. I have pretty small wrists, probably about 6.5 inches. So, the larger size watches made by Rolex and other manufacturers tend to fit me a little bit too big. For me, 36 millimeters doesn't look small. I know by contemporary standards, it is a little bit on the small side, but for me, I think it works very well. As you can see there, it sort of fits. I would say that the lugs are a little bit longer. Just like 36 millimeter Datejust watches, you get the same phenomenon. Even though it's a small watch, it does actually wear a little bit bigger than the size suggests. This is powered by Rolex's 3155 in-house movement, and has been for, I think, at least 10 years now. It's a really great, reliable movement, about 48 hours of power reserve. In terms of complications, I'll show you the double quick set mechanism in a moment here, but you can just see how that looks on my relatively puny wrist. So the final thing I wanted to do here is show you the quick set mechanism, the double quick set mechanism. This was added to this watch at some point since it was debuted in 1956, and it really is extremely functional and really helps with setting the watch. So if I unscrew the crown in the first position, you're just winding the watch as you normally would, and typical of Rolex, very smooth mechanism. If I pull it out to the second position, as I turn the crown clockwise, I'm changing the date. And if I turn it counterclockwise, I turn the day of the week without changing the date. As you can see, we're staying on the 9th there. So it really helps to easily change the day of the week and the date. And if I pull it out one more position, then I'm just adjusting the time. And if you do go all the way around, which I'll try to do here, hopefully I can, you'll see that you get the instantaneous quick change as well once you pass 12 o'clock midnight. So really easy setting mechanism on this watch as well. This watch retails for about $31,000 US, but you can find it secondhand now for not quite half of that price, and depends on whether you want something mint from a year ago with box and papers, or if, like me, you could deal with something. I think this is about 5 years old and didn't come with all of the papers accompanying it. So if you can deal with that, you can probably get it for a material discount to the full price. And in my experience, buying pieces like this tend to be pretty decent investments, and they'll generally hold their value pretty well. So I've been really pleased with it. I think it fits on my wrist really nicely, and for me it's a great luxury watch to have, and hopefully I'll be passing it along down to my kids someday. Thanks so much for watching this video, and look forward to coming back to you soon with additional videos. Cheers.